A few hours from now, you'll be holding up one of Olympus's columns with both hands while Ares tries to knock down the other one because Zeus said his dinner was cold. Meanwhile, your sacred hearth, the one that literally keeps civilization running, will be used as a barbecue grill by Hermes, who decided it was a perfectly good idea to roast a stolen boar over it. Personally, I would have quit by now, but hold on. Right now, you're still asleep. Enjoy it. Today, you woke up, but you are Hestia, goddess of the home, the hearth, and domestic peace. Sounds calm, doesn't it? Even cozy. A goddess of warmth, of gentle fire, of that grandmother energy that makes tea and tucks you in with a blanket. Except your home is Olympus, and your family are the Greek gods. So you are essentially the only sane employee of an asylum with an unlimited budget and egos the size of galaxies. You open your eyes, and the first thing you feel is warmth. Not the warmth of the sun, not the warmth of a beautiful morning. The warmth of your sacred hearth that has burned at the center of Olympus since the world began. It never goes out. It can never go out. If that flame dies, the bond between gods and mortals dissolves. The temples lose their power, and civilization essentially collapses. No pressure. You get up slowly. Your room is simple, scandalously simple by Olympus standards, while the other gods sleep on beds made of clouds with sheets woven by nymphs and pillows stuffed with poets' sighs. You have a stone bed with a wool blanket. And honestly, you prefer it that way. Less drama. You walk to the central hearth. It's stable. The flame dances gently, golden and steady. For one brief, blessed moment, everything is at peace. Olympus is silent. The marble corridors glow with the light of dawn. Birds sing. I need you to hold on to this moment. Memorize it, because it will be the last time you feel peace for the next 16 hours. The first sign of trouble comes through sound. Forduk, distant crash. Then another. Then what can only be described as the sound of a banquet table being hurled against a wall. You don't even need to guess. It's Ares. It's 6 in the morning, and Ares is already furious about something. You sigh so deeply it could be measured in cubic meters. You arrive at the main hall and find the scene. Ares standing on top of the breakfast table, 1 foot inside a fruit platter, screaming that someone sat in his seat. Nobody sat in his seat. His seat is empty. But Ares spotted a mark on the chair and decided that was a declaration of war. Athena is sitting in the corner, eating calmly, with that smile that says, I provoked this, and I am loving every second of it. You glance at the hearth flame in the corner of the room. It flickered, barely noticeable, but it flickered. Your work begins. You place yourself between Ares and the offended chair. Yes, the chair. And with the calmest voice any being should be able to maintain in front of a war god with crushed grape on his heel, you suggest that perhaps, just perhaps, the mark on the chair is from Hephaestus, who was fixing the furniture yesterday. Ares processes this for about 4 seconds, steps down from the table, kicks the chair anyway, but at least he stopped screaming. Victory? I wouldn't call it victory. I'd call it a postponed disaster. You barely finish rearranging the remaining fruit when Aphrodite walks into the hall. She's crying. Not actually crying, of course. Crying in that divine way that makes rose petals fall from nowhere, and the air smell like expensive perfume. The problem? Hephaestus made her a necklace, and the necklace is technically beautiful, but doesn't match the new dress she gave herself. You want to run? Me too, but you're Hestia. You don't run. You sit down, listen, and somehow manage to convince Aphrodite that the necklace would be perfect with her Tuesday dress. Aphrodite stops crying. The petals stop falling. Crisis resolved. Your hearth stabilizes again. For now. The next 2 hours are a sequence I can only describe as unlicensed psychiatric care. Demeter shows up complaining that Persephone didn't respond to her last message. The message being a flower arrangement sent to the underworld that Hades obviously intercepted. You listen. You validate. You suggest that perhaps sending flowers to the underworld isn't the most efficient communication method. Demeter cries. You make tea. Artemis shows up next, furious because Apollo used the sun chariot to do stunts and burned a forest she liked. You mediate. You suggest a forest rotation system. Artemis grumbles but agrees. Dionysus shows up asking if it's too early for wine. It's 9 in the morning. You say yes. He pours anyway. At least he's not screaming. And through all of this, you run back to the hearth every 20 minutes. Because every conflict, every emotional explosion, every divine drama makes the flame waver. Nobody notices. Nobody looks at the the flame. Nobody knows that when Ares kicked the chair, the connection between the gods and the temple at Olympia went unstable for 3 seconds. Nobody knows that when Aphrodite cried, a priestess in Corinth felt an inexplicable shiver. But you always know, and you adjust in silence, without credit, as always. Midday arrives, and with it, the event you dread most, the council meeting. Zeus has summoned everyone to discuss, and I use that term with extraordinary generosity, the matter of mortals building ugly temples. Yes, that's the agenda. Ugly temples. You sit in the corner, near the hearth, as always. Your throne? You don't have a throne. Remember? You gave your throne to Dionysus, a decision you made to keep the peace that everyone interpreted as, she doesn't care, she doesn't want to be here. I want to point out that there is a colossal difference between not caring and sacrificing something to prevent a conflict that would destroy everything. But of course, nobody notices. That difference is invisible, exactly like you. The meeting is exactly the disaster you expected. Poseidon wants to flood the cities with ugly temples. Ares wants to declare war on them. Athena suggests an architectural evaluation system with objective criteria and a judging committee, which is too reasonable for this room and therefore immediately ignored. Apollo wants all temples to have statues of him. Hera wants all temples to have statues of herself and Zeus together, but with her slightly taller. Zeus wants the temples to have more decorative lightning bolts. Nobody agrees with anyone. Voices rise. The hearth flame begins to visibly tremble. You feel it in your chest. If you're enjoying watching this woman suffer and want to see more gods in crisis every week, the least you can do is subscribe. I know it's free. I know that sounds like nothing, but honestly, it's more recognition than Hestia has received in 3,000 years. You stand up. Everyone stops. Not because they respect you, but because it's so rare for you to speak at a meeting that the event itself is shocking. You say, with a calm that conceals centuries of exhaustion, if we flood the cities, we'll have no mortals left to build any temples at all. If we declare war, we'll destroy the temples that already exist. If each of us wants a statue of ourselves, no temple will ever be large enough. Silence. Poseidon closes his mouth. Ares huffs. Zeus strokes his beard. And then Hermes says, that's basically what I was going to say. It wasn't, but fine. The motion passes. Crisis averted. You return to your corner. Nobody thanks you. The flame stabilizes. The world keeps turning without knowing it almost stopped. The afternoon is when everything truly begins to fall apart. Remember that crash from the beginning? Right, that was just the warm-up. The main event starts when Hermes decides that the sacred hearth, your hearth, the flame that keeps civilization running, is the perfect place to roast a boar he stole from Apollo's flock. You arrive to find Hermes assembling an improvised spit directly over the eternal flame, the flame that connects gods and mortals, the flame that must never be contaminated. And Hermes is seasoning the boar with oregano. I want you to imagine the level of patience required not to turn Hermes into ashes at this moment. Hestia manages. I wouldn't. You remove Hermes from the hearth with a firmness that surprises even yourself. He complains. You don't respond. You clean the area. You purify the flame. You rearrange everything. And while you're doing this, you hear another crash. Ares again. This time he's fighting with Hephaestus because Hephaestus made a new suit of armor and didn't make one for Ares. Hephaestus argues that Ares breaks every suit in less than a week. Ares argues that means the armor is weak. It's a circular argument that is causing physical damage to the banquet hall. A column cracks. You run over there. The hearth trembles behind you. This is where the day becomes officially unsustainable. You are holding, metaphorically and almost literally, all of Olympus together. Ares and Hephaestus destroying the hall on one side. On the other, Demeter is crying again because Persephone sent a message saying she's fine, and a dry fine means she's furious. Apollo is giving an improvised concert in the courtyard, and the sound is making the temple windows vibrate dangerously. Dionysus is finally drunk enough to start philosophizing out loud about the nature of chaos, which is ironically the most useful thing anyone has said all day. And in the middle of all this, your hearth is wavering. You feel every tremor as if it were in your own body, because it is. The flame is you. You are the flame. And today, everyone decided to test your limits. You do the impossible. You resolve everything. You separate Ores and Hephaestus by promising that Hephaestus will make a new suit of armor if Ores doesn't break the next one in under a month. You console Demeter by teaching teaching her to interpret short messages as she's busy, not angry. You ask Apollo to play more quietly by gently threatening to reveal that story about Daphne in details he'd prefer stayed forgotten. You even redirect Dionysus, channeling his drunk philosophy to entertain the others, and give yourself 5 minutes of quiet. 5 minutes. That's all you ask, and it's more than you usually get. The end of the day arrives like a relief that weighs tons. Olympus grows silent again. The gods retreat to their quarters, each one carrying the trail of their own chaos without any awareness of the work you did to clean it up. Ares goes to sleep without remembering he almost destroyed a hall. Aphrodite goes to sleep without knowing that her necklace drama almost extinguished a sacred connection. Hermes goes to sleep without understanding that he almost used the pillar of civilization as a barbecue grill. You return to the hearth. It's weak, weaker than it should be at the end of a day. You place your hands near the flame and feed it back to life, slowly, carefully, with the kind of patience no other god on Olympus would even begin to comprehend. The flame grows, stabilizes, burns golden again. In some temple far below, a priestess feels an inexplicable wave of warmth and smiles without knowing why. That's you. It always was. You go back to your room, the stone bed with the wool blanket. Simple. No drama, no echo of applause, no statues in temples bearing your face. You lie down and close your eyes. And for a moment, just one moment, you wonder if it would have been worth it to keep the throne, to demand recognition, to scream as loudly as Ares, or shine as brightly as Apollo. But then, you hear the crackling of the hearth in the distance, steady and constant, and you remember why you did none of that. Because someone needs to be the ground while others get to be the earthquake. Today's lesson: if you're the one keeping everything running and nobody notices, congratulations, you are Hestia. And the bad news is that if you stop, everything falls apart. The good news is that nobody will notice until it does. So technically, the credit is always just one apocalypse away. And tomorrow you wake up as someone who lives underground, rules the dead, and still manages to have a more stable marriage than any god up above. But don't be fooled. Stable doesn't mean easy, not even close.